There are conversations that seem quite ordinary while they're happening. You say goodbye, drive home, get on with the evening. And then, for reasons that aren't always obvious, something from that conversation quietly returns. It might be a sentence, a look, a moment of silence, or simply a feeling that there was more happening than you noticed at the time. It's interesting how memories don't always stay where we first left them. A conversation that once felt unimportant can take a different meaning years later. An awkward exchange becomes understandable. A disagreement looks less like conflict and more like two people trying in different ways to be heard. The words haven't changed, our understanding of them has. Maya Angelou has a quote: people forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Maybe that's why some conversations stay with us, not because every detail is memorable, but because something about the experience found its way into how we remember that moment. Sometimes we remember kindness, relief, disappointment, and often remember the feeling long after we've forgotten the exact words. One of the things that has always fascinated me is how differently two people can remember the same conversation. Years later, one recalls feeling encouraged, the other remembers uncertainty. One thinks the discussion changed everything, and the other, barely, hardly remembers what happened. Neither person is necessarily mistaken, they're just remembering the conversation through the life they've lived since. There are conversations that make more sense with time. A parent's advice that once felt frustrating. A teacher's encouragement that seemed ordinary. A friend's honesty that was difficult to hear. At the time, they can feel incomplete. Only later do we recognize what they quietly left behind. The opposite can happen also. A conversation that once felt overwhelming can lose some of its weight. Not because it no longer mattered, but because life has continued. New experiences arrive, different relationships begin. We become someone with a little more perspective than we had before. Looking back from there can change what we notice. Perhaps that's one of the quiet ways we continue to grow, not by collecting perfect answers, but by finding new ways of understanding moments we've already lived. It's a gentle process, often so gradual that we hardly notice it's happening, until one day we remember something and realize it no longer means quite what it once did. There will always be conversations we carry with us, some because they brought comfort, others because they brought change, many because they simply arrived at the right moment in our lives. We rarely know which conversation those will be while we're having them. Perhaps that's part of what makes ordinary conversations so extraordinary. They sometimes become more meaningful long after they've ended. Thank you for having these few minutes with me today, and I look forward to continuing this conversation with you in the next episode.